What is up, y'all? It is Bible Stories Revisited. It's been a little while, and yeah, like I've been just casually enjoying life. You know what I'm saying? It's been like a lot of moving parts, so it's like I'll come back to this like whenever I have like the absolute free time, because I got other channels I'll be working about, but this is like my venting channel in a way when it comes to at least religious stuff. Um, and like, yeah, at a certain part I've been, it's like I haven't really felt the need to vent about this stuff because, I mean, I've felt like I've been at a part where it's like I know 100% what I believe. Not even 100%, but I just know the certain things that no matter what anyone says, I'm not going to go back to it because I have opened the Pandora's box of information when it comes to this. So for me to just go back to Christianity when I know like the certain things, how it has negatively affected not only me but other people, and just ignore it and try to like force the good into it, it would be hypocritical and really counterproductive to my own personal growth. I don't know how it will be for other people, and that's kind of the thing. Like, I just know, like, in myself, I'm confident in what I believe, and you know, that's another reason I would have this book because, like, I would be confident in what I believe, but at the same time, you know, I can hear out another person's perspective while disagreeing with them, but I'll still hear them out. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like conversations with people who have a disagreement in opinion, whether you agree with what they're saying or not, having that conversation just helps us realize that, you know what I'm saying? We're all people. No one person is evil. No one person is absolutely wicked. You know what I'm saying? We all have different beliefs. We all have different values. The conversations help us understand each other. But this video, not even the video, it's the title that stuck out to me. And this seems like another old video because it said like almost 10 years old. Theramin Trees. This is Respecting Beliefs, Why We Should Do No Such Thing. That's a hot take. That's definitely a hot take because I don't know. It's like, even though I disagree with like a lot of the crucial things in Christianity, I guess me coming from a Christian upbringing, I can see the benefits that it has, but there are also many negative things that come with it that I chose to overlook just to focus on the good thing. But after a certain point, I knew that with myself and my personal growth, I needed to move away from that. I knew that no matter how much I wanted to hope and truly, you know what I'm saying, have that absolute peace of mind, the expense of other people, it's just not good enough for my own personal, like, feel good mentality in my head if I have to hate other groups of people that truly had nothing to do with it in the process. That probably, it's been a minute since I've been on here, but I really want to see what this is. And I know that if there's any reaction channel we can do, it will be this one. Then I'll probably do some non-stamp collector videos, not since we're here, but yeah, let's get into it.
Salad. When you add the egg roll, the Zaxby Sensation Salad.
So do I get...
Save 50% on iPhone 16 Pro and all other iPhone 16 models at Cox Mobile.
It's a sentiment that crops up with some regularity in religious discourse. Sometimes it's expressed obliquely, as a suggestion that we should all respect each other's beliefs. Other times it's delivered as a demand. I respect your beliefs, so you should respect mine. But in all cases, my reply is the one every groom and bride dreads. I don't. With the betrothed, those words understandably arouse feelings of disorientation, alienation, even betrayal. But similar feelings are often evident in the reactions of those theists whose beliefs I decline to respect. It might be implied that I've broken some unspoken social contract that demands my reciprocation. It might be insinuated that I'm being gratuitously mean. It's even been put to me that it's my kind of attitude that causes wars. But is any of that true? I want to unpack some of the tangled up dynamics going on here. I'll be exploring 4 kinds of emotional blackmail designed to elicit undeserved respect from others, and looking at why declarations of respect from theists might be problematic for them. I'll then be setting out why I don't respect beliefs, explaining why religious beliefs, far from deserving privileged immunity, are among the most deserving of scrutiny and criticism, and addressing a last-ditch defense often offered that even if it's false, religion should be left alone because it performs a positive social function.
Okay. That's a nice little intro, because that last ditch thing is kind of what I hold on to, because I just don't want to be that guy. I'm still around a lot of religious people, and I may disagree with them, but I just know within myself what I believe and everything. And even if I have the information that may go against what they're talking about, or may prove a certain talking point wrong, it's kind of like, what's the point if they're not going to listen? Or what's the point if they're just going to scramble and try to rake up another excuse, you know? It's kind of like just how other people let me live in my delusions for a little bit. It just takes people some time to have that on their own and be ready to accept that reality. Because with me, the fact of the matter is, when I was in such a bad position, like such a horrible, not even too bad, but it didn't feel like I was getting out of it. I would rely on like praying to hopefully get me out of it. When I was still in the same position after a year, I would just tell myself, hey, I've been working, I've been praying. This is all in his plan in a way. And then 3 years went by, and I'll just say I prayed less and I started really focusing on survival mode, keeping myself alive. Um, and when I was finally in a position where like I was out of survival mode and I was actually able to look and review for this stuff for myself, if I found like a reasonable truth, I'd probably dedicate my life. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, man, it's a lot that people don't know. There's a lot that people look over and ignore. And I knew with myself, I was like, if I'm going to do this deep dive, if I'm going to truly search for the truth, I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm not going to do anything. We're going to go straight into it. And whatever happens, happens. I was finally at the point where I could emotionally accept that if what I found isn't what I was hoping for, I could still accept that truth and move on and not lie to myself anymore. So that's kind of why I have so much empathy for other people in that position, because I wasn't going to be able to accept that truth or that reality until I got into a position where I was comfortable and at peace. And the fact of the matter is, the way that we are in society, it's very difficult to get to that point first. A lot of us need that motivation. But I'm going to hear him out. I'm going to hear his points. I'm not going to be pausing on this because it's a 20-minute video. but I do want to hear this out, and maybe someone else will hear this as well that may have some insight, So let's get into it.
One of the things the atheist satirist and critic H.L. Mencken got wrong was his assertion that we must respect the other fellow's religion, but only in the sense and to the extent that we respect his theory that his wife is beautiful and his children smart. We don't need to respect the other fellow's religion at all. Mencken muddies the waters by blurring together items from very distinct categories. The theory that your wife is beautiful is an aesthetic judgment. Even if you phrase that judgment so it sounds like a truth claim, i.e., she's beautiful, you and I both know, don't we, that this is just shorthand for she's beautiful to me. I have no reason to respond to this statement. I'm not implicated by it in any way. That only comes if you go a step further and say, she's beautiful, isn't she? In which case, prepare yourself for an honest answer. Religion, on the other hand, is in the business of asserting facts about existence. That does implicate me, irretrievably, and it requires my response. If your reasons for asserting these facts stand up to scrutiny, I have some rethinking to do. If they're based on unsubstantiated phenomena and fallacious arguments, I don't. Oddly, mirroring the way aesthetic judgments get phrased like truth claims, religious truth claims frequently get phrased like aesthetic judgments. We often hear it said of some god, "He's real to me." In many cases, this is simply to forestall any possible challenge, translating to, "He's real to me no matter what you say." But in other cases, this strangely personalized reality claim offers an implicit bargain. If you let me make my truth claims unchallenged, I'll let you make yours. It attempts to establish sympathetic interest between both parties. It says, hey, we can both come out winners here if we agree to look the other way while we both do something very bad, epistemologically. Other folks take a more psychologically hardline approach, invoking a mutual obligation. Here, the message is, look, I'm willing to let you make your truth claims unchallenged, so you should let me make mine. But reality can't be bargained with in this way. The Earth isn't a flat disk for you and a globe for me, just because we make some wishful pact. If you're claiming that any gods exist, then you're making a truth claim about a reality of which I'm a part, and it's your burden to substantiate it. Some folks have no such squeamishness about proclaiming the universal truth of their religion, and adopt an openly threatening, violent approach to inspire fear among critics, especially satirical critics. The need to be able to subject beliefs to ridicule is not a trivial one. It's a very important one, and becomes more obvious the greater the power and influence involved. When a person, or group, assumes a position of power, their reaction to ridicule can tell us a lot about their robustness and their humanity. We might expect to see a range of responses, from amusement to anger. But when the responses tip over into violence and persecution, that's where we see the warning signs of dictatorships, autocracies, headed by brittle narcissists prone to self-mythologizing. Ridicule is especially threatening to these folks. Not only does it prick their inflated self-image, it also reduces their capacity to inspire adulation and fear among the masses. No authority is beyond ridicule. No politician, no priest, no prophet, no parent. Because that's what theism comes down to in the end, isn't it? As simultaneous longing for and fear of the magical, mystical, unquestionable parent. When we were infants, our parents or guardians were our protectors and our punishers. And this inspired two irreconcilable responses in us, love and fear. In healthy relationships, where parents' actions were grounded in love, we begin to appreciate their punishments in that context. We see why our parents snatched our hand away from the fire, why they berated us for walking away with that nice grown-up in the park. Consequently, the fear response is resolved and recedes. But in unhealthy relationships, where parents' actions are grounded in power, leading to erratic, overblown, and blatantly unjust punishments, the fear can endure, sometimes at the expense of love, and we remain infantilized, afraid to challenge a corrupt authority.
This is where I was. They used fear, but you know what I'm saying? They would say, we do this because we love you. We do this because we love you. You know what I'm saying? And me, I always try to be understand. I just realized I can, it's like a text thing. But yeah, I really just realized that, like, man, the amount of fear that they used, it worked. It worked. Like, I am an anxiety-filled child. It's full of anxiety. Oh my gosh. And I'm just now, like, trying to break that down and feel like a natural human who, like, has no fear of, like, communicating or nothing. But that's not the case. Like, an example he brought up with a stranger from the park, right? Um, I was on the soccer team. We had a little game. Finished the game. We like ran in a huddle and everything. So everybody was saying this or that, and I don't think I scored this game, but I had a couple of blocks because I was a goalie for a little bit. So this old man was there, like, what I'm saying, on the bench, and he was pretty much just saying like, "Oh, what I'm saying, you did a good job out there." You know, and it's hard for me to even remember that conversation now because um I don't like it really like blocked my memory just because of my dad's response. But I knew he was just talking about the game, and I was like, yeah, I was, um, it's my first time being goalie. I was having conversation like I always do. Um, me, I'm still like this now, but it took me a minute to really comfortably come back into this, to where like I will be completely locked in conversations, like undivided attention. You know what I'm saying? I felt like it was a respect thing. It wasn't even something I was conscious about, but I just knew like when people were talking, I wanted to be locked into what they were saying. So most of my teammates like went back through the tunnel, but I was still talking to the man. It wasn't like I was sitting down next to him. I was standing up and he was sitting down, and we were just chatting. Dad snatched me, you know what I'm saying? We didn't even like continue the game. Or like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't get to like talk to the teammates or anything. He just put me in the car, started hitting me. Was like, you need to be more aware of everything around you. Don't just talk to anybody. The classic don't talk to strangers thing. My thought was, there's literally people all around here. So why would the person snatch me up? I know that there are crazy people out there, but the way that he reacted to it, I didn't feel like, oh, don't do this. I was so concerned of you. I felt like he was angry that he did not, you know what I'm saying, that I just wasn't as aware and didn't just leave the same time as most of my teammates did. So I'm guessing from my dad's perspective, he just saw teammates coming out and I was just still in there, but I wasn't even the last teammate in the huddle. Like there were still other teammates there, so I thought I was in the clear and I was incorrect. So literally like not even like he would say a little bit, but a majority was just him taking it out on me, it felt like. Because even on the way, he would add extra hits, like turn around and hit me while he was on the way back to the house. And I know that he wanted, like, his reasoning was love, but what he installed in me is fear. And that's just one example. That's not even the craziest example. That's just one of the examples because it was like reminding me of the example that he gave.
At which end of the spectrum would you put a parent who threatens to burn its children for declining to worship it? Of all the authorities we need to be prepared to question, to resist, to ridicule, the most urgent cases are the ones that threaten violence when questioned, resisted, or ridiculed. The fourth manipulative strategy attempts to silence challenge by appealing to guilt. Here, the message is, my beliefs give me comfort. Can't you just leave them alone? There are times in life when circumstances...
Oh, this dude's cooking right now. Because these are all things that I was told that I was like, I'm a very like considerate person, so I try to take that into account. So I think, yeah, for a certain point, it gave me comfort too. So it's like, I see that not really as beneficial as it should be. So my helpful side wants to like reach out and like try to guide them to another direction, but some like I said, until people are ready to be open to the truth and like maybe be open to change their perspective, I felt like it was also useless in that type of respect. And when people give this type of response, like my beliefs give me comfort, leave them alone. I'm like, hey, you know what I'm saying? It did give me comfort while I felt like shit was useless. While I felt like I couldn't get out of that position at all. Was me praying and everything getting me out of that position? I don't think so, if I'm being honest. But I felt like me believing that there was some higher power in the background that was just setting all this up so it would be the best possible position for me to even rise up beyond that. I truly believed that. So I was just like, okay, this is nothing. Of course, this is hard right now, but it will be better in the future. Now, it didn't take until I actually put in consistent, like, ooh, yeah, like I hurt my body doing all that work trying to like get into a better position financially, but I was able to do it because I stayed consistent in the work, and it just so happened to be in a period where I was not praying that I was able to accomplish that. If it was accomplished while I was still praying, I might have been a little bit on the fence, like, hey, maybe that happened. You know what I'm saying? Maybe my praying influenced that. But that type of thinking is like so like one dimensional and only like thinking about yourself, because there are so many examples of people who have prayed. Sonia Massey, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, and still got shot in the face. Fuck. Um. So yeah, guilt. Guilt is a good one. Guilt and fear are the main ones. Like, I feel like my main fear is like the people in my life who are Christians will push me away or really distance themselves away from me just because I believe something different from them. And the guilt is, am I tearing down something that is keeping them strong in this hard ass life that we're living just because it's incorrect in my perspective? You know, I'm someone who thinks we all have different perspectives, so I try to at least see to that. But there are examples like this where, I don't know, it may not be the best scenario.
Circumstances run us into the ground, numbly waiting for a phone call about a child who's been missing for days, or dreading lonely evenings after a divorce, or sitting at a loved one's hospital bedside, watching them slip away from us. In these situations, we might find comfort in many things. A hug, a chat with a friend, a piece of music, a drive to the coast. The opportunity to escape for a day, an hour, even a handful of minutes, to lay our burden down and let in some comfort, can be invaluable in refilling our depleted reserves and keeping us going. And many of us would do whatever we could to facilitate that comfort for others. But what if a loved one risked his health by diving into relentless unprotected sex with strangers to drown out the pain of divorce? What if a loved one started handing over her savings to a con artist to commune with a dead relative? Would we be so quick to facilitate these comforts? What about the knock-on effects on others? If parents take comfort in fantasies of an afterlife to avoid dealing with death, what will their children be taught? Will they get the chance to face death honestly? Or will they now be forced to collude with their parents' denial?
Oh, fuck. Damn. That's the one. That's the one I don't even want to address to people yet. Because there are many people who have passed away in my family. And, you know, of course, like, we take time to remember, the things that they did, and especially the impact that they made in our lives. This is especially something that I do in the moment, but a lot of the things that we would do, especially, the funerals and stuff, don't even worry about it. Don't even feel sad. You shouldn't feel sad. They are in a better place right now. Their pain is gone, which I believe is true. Like, they no longer feel pain. They are at rest. But to just be like, no, you should not be sad. They are in a better place. It's not, that's not how we work. We have to feel these emotions. We have to let it take its course, or it will be detrimental to us. Fuck.
Without afterlife fantasies, would parents be so quick to deny their children life-saving medical treatment on religious grounds? What about...
I don't think they did that. They weren't that wild. They weren't that wild at all. No. At least I don't think so. My dad still, when something medical happened, he took me to the hospital and prayed for me. We weren't that blind. We realized, we were the type that was like, if God gave us these medical devices, we might as well use them. So I really thank my parents for that so much. Yes.
Suicide attackers who anticipate a glorious martyr's reward for their deeds. Afterlife fantasies are not harmless or neutral. They're multivalent, susceptible to a wide variety of applications. The desire for comfort can lead to destructive and deadly behaviors, as well as states of perpetual denial, which are frequently imposed on us.
That's how humans are, though. Like, you think of humans on active, there are exceptions, but most of us people, we don't want the truth, really. We want comfort. We want the most comfortable answer. And if we are able to convince ourselves that the most comfortable answer is the truth, we will without a doubt ignore any other evidence if it has the threat of threatening our comfort. So serious right now. That's literally how I thought as a Christian. It's like, I'm not looking at this. This is going to shake my faith. It was until, I was like, why am I going to let these little things shake my faith? I need to either completely strengthen my faith or just know for a fact, without lying to myself, hey, there's just too many things that make this whole thing fall apart.
Which is why I don't view comfort as something to be automatically cherished or facilitated, and why it's often more humanitarian to challenge comfort than to enable it. Feelings of fear, obligation, guilt, and sympathy can help us in some scenarios. Fear can help us escape dangerous situations. Obligation can help strengthen legitimate social contracts. But when folks try to play on these feelings to get us to comply with unreasonable, self-serving demands, that's emotional blackmail, and we need to be clear that that's not acceptable behavior.
This dude's cooking. Like, I'm glad I clicked on this video because it's really making me self-reflect and think about a lot of things that I just put in the background.
It's worth noting that when people tell me they respect my beliefs, a little probing often reveals problems with that statement.
Okay.
With Christians, I have to put it to them that this professed respect directly conflicts with their Bible. First, let's consider the earthly life. In the Bible's blood-soaked Old Testament, Deuteronomy chapter 13 sets out the Christian God Yahweh's punishment for worshipping other gods, the sword and the stone. Though less saturated with sadism, the Bible's New Testament, which introduces the Christian's Messiah, Jesus Christ, maintains its distaste for non-Christians. In 2 John chapter 1 verses 9 to 11, Christians are clearly instructed not to receive non-Christians into their houses. Even by greeting them, Christians are apparently taking part in their wicked work. When we look beyond death to the Christian afterlife, the gloves come off completely. If you don't believe in the Messiah, you're condemned to eternal fiery punishment. I put it to the Christians who say they respect the beliefs of non-Christians that you cannot reconcile your professed respect with these kinds of biblical passages. Beliefs for which your God prescribes execution, social rejection, and ultimately eternal torture cannot be respectable. With Muslims, similar problems arise.
Yeah, and that's essentially why it's that's just another reason why it's so difficult for people to walk away, that fear aspect. You know what I'm saying? There was one question that like I would tell myself as a Christian. It would be like, would you rather going through life and just die being wrong, nothing happens, or would you rather walk away from God and die and realize, oh shoot, God was real this whole time? They're like, which one would you rather do? And with me, I was like, well, obviously, I'd rather just be on the safe side so I don't burn, because that's a real like fear tactic. Like the idea that like if you don't like at least submit a little bit, you're gonna burn forever. That is a scary thing. That makes sense why a lot of people would stay in line. I'm good. I don't want to be burned. Totally understandable. That's why like I really like did the digging, did the research and stuff. And once I opened the Pandora's box of information, one, not only was there no going back, but with me doing that deep dive, my fear of hell went away because I don't believe that it's a thing. Like, even in the Bible, right? The idea of hell is really only a New Testament thing. Like, in the Old Testament, it's like they were in Hades, the underworld, almost. And it wasn't like they were burning, but it was their spot of rest. I forget which part it was, but someone had summoned, I think it was Abraham, and he pretty much was like, why did you disturb my rest, right? It wasn't, oh, I'm in heaven, chilling with God, and I came down. It wasn't, oh, I was in hell burning. He was disturbed from his rest. And he was like, what do you want? Now, I can be completely wrong about this. And that's the reason I kind of paused, because I definitely want to see this Islam example, because I did not read the Quran. So my knowledge is not like it is with the Bible, but I know that it's a very similar belief. Very similar. Oh, snap. Oh, okay. Oh, I can look it up? Hold on. Shows personal suggestion. Let's not do this right now.
To them, I would be considered culpably ignorant and therefore destined for perpetual hellfire. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not asking you to respect my beliefs. In a moment, I'll be explaining why beliefs don't require respect.
Okay.
But I encourage you to have a serious think about these passages, because when your religion tells you that non-members deserve execution, social rejection, and eternal torture,
that's my main problem. That was like my main disconnect with God as a Christian. And I would be like, I just don't think that part is right. I'd be like Thomas Jefferson. I'd be like, I don't agree with that. Y'all know, I'm pretty sure it was Thomas Jefferson who he went through the Bible and would just cross out the pieces he didn't like. And it's like, this is what I'll be following. That was me. I'm not going to lie to you. Because there are certain things that the Bible, people say the Bible is like the ultimate morality book. But us as humans, we can clearly read certain things and be like, that's not right in today's society, As a logical person. Maybe back then it was, but customs are different. And so morality changes and improves. Women are not property anymore. In the Bible, that is different. Even in the Quran, that is different. You know? So, like, saying, like, these people deserve to burn. These people are wicked. They don't even deserve any type of respect or to be treated like a human. For me to ground my belief system in treating other people like that, while also promoting this belief system as a belief system of love, you just have to reject these certain parts of yourself that are you, that you didn't have control over. Oh my gosh. It's just so bad. And this is really like putting it into perspective for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is a lot of the things that, like, I'll put in the background because I've seen how, like, detrimental this can be to a lot of people, but at the same time, I overlook that and just hope that they can focus on the good. But I see, even still, this belief system is ingrained in them, and because of this, they feel warranted to hate certain people, to treat certain people like this, because their book tells them so.
We're not just talking about disrespecting beliefs. We're talking about dehumanizing people.
Literally.
Later on, I'll be looking at the evasions some folks offer when this begins to hit home. Every belief that gets introduced into the public space needs to be open to criticism. If we take its validity as untouchable, then we'll be forced to reject valid information that conflicts with it. The need to be able to criticize beliefs becomes more obvious as the reach of those beliefs increases. The belief that Henry VIII occasionally liked to dress up in his wife's clothes isn't going to have a huge impact on our lives. But the belief that our government is always right would have a huge effect on how we assess all kinds of information.
It's also in the Bible. It's also part of our Bible to respect man's law. So, if you want to be a good Christian, follow the laws of the land.
Another reason already touched on is that beliefs shape behavior. Group C believes cancer always results from a guilty conscience and can only be healed by confession and sincere repentance. Group D believes cancer is a cluster of diseases prompted by a range of genetic and environmental triggers. It's clear to see these beliefs will result in very distinct patterns of behavior. For Group C, cancer is a very straightforward matter. Patients will be judged as bringing it on themselves and will be urged to confess and repent. Those who die will be judged insincere. Knowledge about cancer will not increase.
Fuck. Yo, see? This is just one of the things that is going to hold us back and keep us stagnant. Damn. That's kind of why, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I had this channel because, of course, I can listen and respectfully disagree. But it's like, this is literally some of the things that be happening. Now, thank goodness my parents still would be like, hey, if you're sick, we're going to use medical treatment and pray. But this is really like, it doesn't just have to be for diseases on this. Like, other things that are out of people's control, they'll think, oh, they put this on themselves. Like my success. Like, I was struggling first getting out of high school. And some people would think, what's holding you back from getting the success you truly deserve? This economy, my God. Maybe because everything is 2 times as expensive as it was when you were my age. And I still have to pay bills for myself. Anyways. Yeah, so this is also another thing. Like, I really felt like people did not understand me, and they just write off what they thought, what they believed, without like truly taking time to see my perspective, what I thought. They would be like, nope, I know for a fact, and here's the scripture to back it up. And it's like, but that doesn't say what I am thinking, what I am feeling. So, man, that junk.
Or will survival rates. For Group D, cancer is a complex phenomenon. Patients will be studied to identify genetic and environmental triggers, and, in response to the patterns that emerge, corresponding treatment plans and preventative measures will be developed. As studies open up new avenues of investigation, knowledge about cancer will increase, as will survival rates. Ah, you might say. But even though Group C's belief is false, it could actually have great benefits for society. If Group C believes that guilty consciences cause cancer, surely, you might say, we'd expect to see much more moral behavior from its members. After all, for them, a clear conscience would mean a cancer-free life. Isn't that a powerful motivation to treat each other well? Group D, on the other hand, who doesn't see cancer as a moral issue, has no such incentive. Both groups, you might say, offer their own advantages, with Group D offering improved survival rates, but Group C offering substantially enhanced relationships across society. But what if we were to discover that far from leading to some moral utopia, Group C's belief actively encouraged some of the most extreme immorality we'd ever come across? Let's look at a couple of strategies that comfortably combine repeated immorality with a clear conscience. Strategy 1 simply acknowledges the power of confession and repentance. According to Group C's belief, it doesn't matter what we do. Even if we invite cancer by knowingly committing immoral acts, we'll be healed the moment we confess and repent. Now, there is a small problem here in that if we keep repeating the same transgressions, the sincerity of our repentance must be called into question. To make the strategy more viable, we need to make it more difficult to be moral. One way of doing this is by viewing ourselves as substantially more flawed than we really are, picturing ourselves as wretched, weak, selfish creatures, powerless to resist all kinds of temptation. By doing this, we can set up the idea of a noble struggle in which we're constantly battling to stay moral, despite overwhelming odds. This version of the strategy allows...
And this, once again, like, this is just a strategy, but I know he's going to say it, but the expense of having this is a complete shot to your confidence within yourself. I'm just saying. Maybe some might say that's a good sacrifice to make. You need to be putting all your confidence in God anyways. But for me, that seems like you are actively just
allows us a lot more latitude. Here, we can plausibly repeat the same transgressions indefinitely, while continuing to express contrition. Strategy 2 does away with confession and repentance altogether. In this strategy, we simply reframe immoral behavior as moral. This can easily be achieved with a phrase familiar to us all: it's for your own good. With these 5 simple words, vice becomes virtue, bullying becomes discipline, rape becomes therapy, intolerance becomes charity, hate becomes...
That's even worse. This shit is even worse. Like, oh my gosh.
Love. We can now abuse people without the slightest moral twinge. Any of this sounding familiar?
Yes.
Group C's belief about cancer doesn't guarantee a better society. In fact, it guarantees a lot of destructive behavior. After all, those who commit immoral acts and stay cancer-free have proof of their righteousness. It'll also lead to a lot of unnecessary soul-searching by folks who get cancer despite behaving morally. They'll be forced to
Facts. Fucking facts. Oh shit.
Identify non-existent transgressions, and of course, being human, they'll find them, or have them found by others. Cancer doesn't give us moral understanding, and neither do holy scriptures that approve so much blatantly immoral behavior that it's possible to justify acts across the entire moral-immoral spectrum to the extreme of genocide. A moral compass with 2 norths is no compass at all. Moral systems need to be open systems because our moral awareness advances with the discovery of new information. For example, the morality of vivisection, performed by anatomists such as Galen and Vesalius, and justified by philosophers such as Descartes, was called into question when animals, previously viewed as insensible machines, were instead seen to be capable of experiencing pain. Scriptures like the Bible and Quran are not open systems. They don't allow for new insights which change the moral landscape. Instead,
there's no way you could. Never mind.
They present fixed moral pronouncements based on moral conjecture from centuries ago, preserving all the moral ignorance of those times. To increase the frequency of moral behavior throughout the world requires that we think, that we question and reason and discuss. that we gather good information about the needs, the benefits, and the harms involved in a given situation, and that we're willing to review our assessments as new, relevant information emerges. Most important of all, it requires that we reject ideologies which obstruct all of these processes by attempting to anchor us in an ignorant past we've long outgrown, and by demanding privileged immunity from criticism. Some theists express confusion about why atheists have a problem with the idea of hell when we don't even believe it exists. To those theists, I ask a simple question. Do I deserve eternal torture? Those who answer yes make my point for me. Their belief has dehumanized me to the point that they can tell me, without shame, that they support a system that consigns me to unending suffering, not for committing some genocidal atrocity.
When I was a Christian, I felt this, and I wouldn't be a pushy one, but I'd be like, hey man, I don't want y'all to burn, you know what I'm saying? If I'm able to, I want to lead y'all so we can all, you know what I'm saying, be cool, be chilling in heaven. But there are people who are just like, they're beyond hope. Gone with them. And it's like, I was never like this, like fuck.
Not for harming a single person, but for the crime of not believing in something for which I had no evidence.
Literally.
Those who evade my question also illustrate my point. The first of two common evasions is, it's not up to me. This is disingenuous redundancy. Folks who respond this way know full well that's not the question I'm asking. But I'll walk them through the long version anyway. I'm a non-believer. According to your God, non-believers deserve eternal torture. Do you agree with your God that I deserve eternal torture? More often than not, I'll get exactly the same politician's response. These folks are stuck between defending the indefensible, hell, and questioning the unquestionable, their God. And it's not always realistic to expect a swift resolution to that kind of internal conflict. But for me, it's a promising sign that there is at least some internal conflict. It shows me there's some appropriate discomfort about this vile concept. It also means they haven't yet rationalized the problem of hell. They haven't invested in a fallacious justification. This leaves room to hope that their internal conflict will inspire further private reflection. The other common evasion is, you send yourself to hell. This is a very different kind of evasion. Here the problem of hell has been rationalized, removing responsibility from the God in question and placing it on the non-believer. This is known as blaming the victim, and is a well-known distancing maneuver employed by abusers and their conspirers. After they've beaten their spouses, instigators of domestic violence deny responsibility for their actions by complaining, "Look what you made me do." In the novel Sophie's Choice, the eponymous character, a Holocaust survivor, is forced by a sadistic doctor at Auschwitz to decide the fate of her two children. One will be gassed, the other will be allowed to live. When she fails to choose, she's told they'll both be gassed. In a moment of panic, Sophie chooses, and is tormented by guilt for the rest of her days. But she's utterly blameless. The doctor was entirely responsible, forcing her into a grotesque position. Non-believers don't send themselves to eternal torture. That's the rationalization of the sadist. All of these responses show why atheists have a problem with hell, even though we don't.
That example is so sad. Like, yeah. Fuck. Oh, that's... I had to let that thing process so I could continue listening, but damn, that hurts.
Believe it exists. It's because it dehumanizes us. One of the first things done to groups who are targeted for discrimination is that their human status is stripped of them. They might be described explicitly as subhuman or as animals or insects, rats, monkeys, cockroaches. If you view people as cockroaches, how are you likely to treat them? What about when you downgrade people to kindling? The day Christopher Hitchens died, I remember being sent a link to a freshly uploaded video gleefully depicting him burning in hell. An image relished by many and reflected in a range of very public expressions, from the blogs of Christian zealots to the joy...
That is nasty work. Trying to... Yo, y'all having fantasies of people burning? I ain't never did...
Full chants of Muslims protesting outside the 2012 Atheist Convention in Melbourne, alternating his name with Ayaan Hirsi Ali. This ghoulish disposition was embraced as a lifestyle by the Westboro Baptist Church, who plumbed new depths of tastelessness by picketing the funerals of various groups they considered hellbound, and any perceived sympathizers. In 2015, they were reportedly thwarted in their attempt to obstruct actor Leonard Nimoy's funeral, when they couldn't find its location. The church's leader, Fred Phelps, openly reveled in the hate his actions provoked, interpreting it as evidence of his righteousness, on the basis that the biblical prophets were also hated. When you reduce people to hell fodder, it's remarkable how low you can go, which is why it's especially important to attack beliefs that dehumanize. My impression is that most theists have a great discomfort about the whole sending non-believers to hell concept. Many Christians I've spoken to flat out deny the existence of hell, asserting that their God simply wouldn't allow such an abomination. Others have cheerfully consoled me with their view that non-believers just die. That's it. No eternal punishment. I'm not one to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I do have to ask, where are they getting this information? So
That would be kind of cool, actually. Like, nah, if you want to get in on this eternal party, come to the Bible first. But hey, if you just want to die, that is much more acceptable than hell. But like, hell is a fear tactic to keep you in line. That's why it was a New Testament thing. Had to wrap it all up.
not from Matthew chapter 25, which refers explicitly to eternal punishment. Sometimes I'm genuinely touched by the obvious positive intentions of theists who distort their ideology in all kinds of ways in order to reach out their hands in brotherhood and sisterhood. Some Christians go as far as declaring that a belief in their God is non-essential. All that matters is how we treat each other. But we have to acknowledge that this is exactly the kind of thinking that got us into this hellish mess in the first place, making up whatever we want to believe. It's sometimes asserted that religions like Christianity have withstood the test of time. They haven't. They've cheated the test of time, employing various dishonest tactics such as the indoctrination of children who've not yet developed their critical faculties. But a dishonest tactic that spans both young and old, members and non-members, is the consistent attempt to marginalize and silence critics. We need to be able to subject all beliefs to criticism. And, as I've shown, that need only becomes more obvious. The greater the knock-on impact a belief has on other ideas, the greater the power and influence involved. The more fervently criticism is discouraged, particularly by violent means, and the more a belief has a dehumanizing effect, facilitating remorseless abuse. Doesn't get much plainer. We're talking about the major world religions. The resentments harbored against me and others like me who decline to respect religious beliefs are unfounded. I've broken no contract. I give no special regard to your beliefs, but I ask no special regard for mine. Beliefs stand or fall on their own merits. I'm not being mean. Criticizing unjustified beliefs is important because they can lead to real problems. If some folks make the mistake of investing their core identity in an unjustified belief so that when it gets criticized, they feel criticized, then it's up to them to learn from that mistake, not up to everyone else to pay for it. And it's not my attitude that causes wars. Wars are caused by beliefs like supremacism, the idea that one group is intrinsically superior to all others. Supremacism can be based on many things: gender, the color of skin. The scriptures of major world religions like Christianity and Islam are about as supremacist as it's possible to be, damning all non-members to eternal torture. No earthly supremacist could hope to achieve sadism on such a scale. For centuries, religious supremacism has inspired a range of conflict, from everyday acts of social discrimination to colonialism to genocide. Beliefs like these are what cause wars, and I hope it's now clear why I decline to respect them.
I needed to watch this. This is definitely going to give me a lot of time to think, for sure. Yeah, like, maybe the purpose of this channel was right. Maybe it is right that even if I try to respect these people's beliefs, their beliefs fundamentally contradict the respecting of anyone else. So it's like, yeah, this regave me confidence to continue this channel, because, like, once again, the people it needs to reach, it will reach. And as long as I consistently put my perspective out in the air, maybe other people will start to silently reflect to themselves and maybe think the same thing. But yeah, that was a cool little video. We almost an hour into this. Crazy reaction, but I'm glad I did it. That being said, yeah, like and subscribe if you want to. This is really a channel for me, but if y'all see any benefit in that, I appreciate the support and all that. I'm gonna get out y'all here. Peace.